Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, and Mildred. Hi, honey. How are you? Oh, she's so sleepy. She had a long night. She really did. How you doing? That's good. Okay. And then we had a rough game of fetch this morning. I mean, it was a real rally, a brawl. Anyway, we're here to talk about the wonderful Alfredo Campoli box on Decca Eloquence. Now, this is a real connoisseur's edition. Are you a connoisseur? I'm a connoisseur. Are you a connoisseur, Mildred? No? Okay. She's not a connoisseur. Oh, there you are. Yeah, it's a good girl. Yes. Do you like Alfredo? Yeah, she loves violin music. Cats always do, of course, especially now that they no longer use catgut. That's like the big thing. I mean, they never really used catgut. We know. Last time I said that, a whole bunch of you came in and said, it wasn't really catgut. Yeah, okay, I know it's not really catgut. Anyway, Alfredo Campoli, he lived from 1905 to like 1991 or something like that. I mean, really rather recently. I mean, well, recently, I think 91 is recently. You get to a certain age and anything that's less than 50 years old is recently, right? I mean, we're thinking geologic time. Anyway, he was a major violinist. He had a wonderful singing tone, and he never quite got taken as seriously as some of the other great violinists of the 20th century. I mean, you don't usually hear people talk about like Heifetz and Milstein and Campoli. Well, maybe they should. There are 21 discs here, and some really splendid stuff. See, the thing is that Campoli had a career that was, first of all, largely based in the UK. It was a local career, although later in his life, after the Second World War, he did tour. And I mean, he played with the New York Philharmonic and George Sell. I mean, he was a major guy. He had a bunch of Stradivarius violins, two of them actually, but that wasn't the one he used most often. I mean, he was a very, very serious. He was what you might call immersed in the world of the violin. His dad was violinist with the Santa Cecilia Orchestra in Roma and was his first teacher. His mom was a soprano soloist. I mean, he was born into the business. Let's put it that way. And maybe that's also why perhaps he didn't get quite the attention he deserved, because he was a thorough professional working musician. And somehow we think our superstar musicians should be somehow above, well, just above. What can I tell you? I mean, for example, during the Second World War and just before, it was very hard to find work, and the Great Depression and all that stuff. So Campoli formed a salon orchestra, two of them actually, and made piles of 78s playing light music and arrangements and things like that. Well, I mean, all violinists dip their toes into Chrysler and other salon things for encore discs, but they don't make it a profession. When they're slumming, it's an exception, and everyone finds it extra charming that such a serious artist would lower themselves just to have fun for us mere mortals. Well, Campoli wasn't like that at all. He had no attitude. He just played the stuff. He even formed a restaurant ensemble at one point because he needed to make a living. I have nothing but admiration for all of that, and all that matters really is how he sounds on the discs. And he sounds marvelous. He had a really distinctive, everyone talked about it, bel canto quality to his tone. It's luscious and lovely. And he made some great recordings of the standard violin repertoire. He really did, including one of the all-time most fabulous Elgar violin concertos under Adrian Bolt, no less. So we've talked about that before. So he was the real deal. And now we have all of his recordings on Decca. It's subtitled The Bel Canto Violin. See, I didn't make that up. There it is, The Bel Canto Violin. See what I mean? Bel Canto Violin, right, Mildred? Yes, exactly. So anyway, let's see what's in here on these 21 wonderful Australian Eloquence CDs. You get a book with a very nice essay, a very, very nice essay talking about him. There he is in his older life. He didn't make many recordings, I think, after like the late 50s, early 60s, although he lived another 30 years. He sort of retired, kind of, sort of. I mean, he played, always played, but he wasn't in the studios. These are all Decca recordings. Now, the really cool thing are the first, for this set, for me anyway, or one of the coolest things, is the first 7 of these suckers. Disc 7, here we go. These are the 78s. And the 78s have the music that he made as a light orchestra guy. And I love light music, and I love salon music. And I even prefer it sometimes to the more heavy-duty stuff, especially for the violin, because you can have fun with it. Sometimes, serious violin music sounds stupid even when it's serious. But the music that's not supposed to be serious, well, you can have sort of a better time doing it that way. At least that's how I feel about it, and that's just me. What can I tell you? So we've got these Decca 78s where he plays with the piano and he plays with his salon orchestra. There's all kinds of nifty stuff here, arrangements and traditional tunes mixed with Baroque things, and it's the kind of mishmash that they did, and I love looking at these potpourris. It's astonishing here. Here's one with the Dorchester Hotel Orchestra. Yay! I love the Dorchester Hotel Orchestra doing Strauss, Kallmann, more Strauss, Waldteufel, Chabrier, Romberg, Lemaire. And then there's Offenbach, Chopin, Victor Herbert, Fibbich, Lehar. Frimmel. All those wonderful light music people. It's all on here. But there are some wonderful, bizarre little like compilation of classical favorite things here. There's Victor Herbert's Gypsy Song from the Fortune Teller, selections from La Boheme, Saint-Saëns The Swan, but not played by a swan, played by a violin, played by a sparrow. And we've got, let's see, what's this other thing here? It's just really nifty. Here we go. It's on this one, I think. Was it this one? Fritz Kreisler, of course, the concerto in one movement after Paganini, but not by Paganini. Yes, Operantics, arranged by Stodden. A selection of tunes from big operas. And there's also With the Classics, arranged by Crook, which is all the big tunes from all the classics in 8 minutes, arranged for violin and salon orchestra, or with Alfredo Campoli and his grand orchestra doing a couple of these things. And there's some Eric Coates, and there's Elgar's Serenade, and there's it's just amazing. So, yeah. And there's the Mendelssohn Violin Concerto with Edward von Beinum here, which is also pretty cool. That was one of his specialty pieces, actually. So that's the first 7 discs, and they're just a delight. They've all been remastered by Mark Obert Thorne, and they sound really good, or as good as they're gonna. And so there you have it. Then we get, let's see, the Beethoven Violin Concerto with Joseph Cripps, which is not too shabby. It gets through it in 44 minutes, which is a wonderful thing, from 1952. So that's really cool. And then there's Handel Violin Sonatas with George Malcolm harpsichord. How's that? Compare this to your period instrument things and listen to the difference, but I'll tell you. The Bel Canto approach, and it's not tasteless, it's not sappy, it's beautiful. And the wonderful thing about that is that you understand what we've talked about before, which is that this was the ideal to which those Baroque composers were all striving, that instruments should sing like the human voice, that is, Bel Canto. So yeah, give those a shot if you're a Handel Violin Sonata person. Oh, the Lalo Symphony Espagnole, all 5 dreadful movements of it, with von Beinum and the London Phil, and then some Saint-Saëns short things, the Havanaise in the introduction, and Rondo Capriccioso with Anatole Fistulari. Let's see. He was Marina Mahler's dad, by the way, in case you were wondering. Then we've got a bunch of piano things. Oh, encores. Every single encore you've ever thought of in your entire universe. It's got Paganini and Dochnani, bits of Roralia Hungarica, and Mendelssohn and Drigo and Elgar and Gardner and Debussy and Foster's Old Folks at Home. All of that good stuff. Homage to Fritz Kreisler. Everybody has to do it. But I have to say, Campoli was one of the guys. He knew Kreisler. He knew Kreisler's tone. He had a similar approach to making the violin sing. So it's really, really lovely and wonderful to hear. Here's the Elgar Violin Concerto. with Adrian Bolt, which is one of the great Elgars. It's absolutely fantastic. When was this? From 55. I think we're getting into the stereo era now, aren't we? This was mono, but it's long playing micro groove, full frequency range recording. Yes, of course. So there's that one. Then we have Tartini to the Devil's Trill and his Di Donne Abbandonata, Dido Abandoned Sonata. Well, those are fun. With George Malcolm playing the piano this time. Then Max Brooks' Violin Concerto with Royalton Kish and the New Symphony Orchestra of London. Okay, good old Royalton Kish fans, your ship has come in. The Bliss Violin Concerto. Well, this is terrific. This was written for him, and he plays it absolutely marvelously. It's a wonderful performance. It's from 56. There we go. And let's see. So it's the Violin Concerto, and then we have the original version of the Scherzo, which got revised, and then theme and cadenza for violin and orchestra, a short little piece conducted by Bliss with the London Phil. That's as authentic as it gets. Good for him. At least he had one serious composer writing a concerto for him. Probably there were more, but he didn't record them. Who knows? Then we've got the Saint-Saëns Violin Concerto No. 3 with Piero Gamba and the London Symphony. This is a wonderful performance at the Saint-Saëns. Absolutely. The Chrysler Concerto in one movement, as mentioned, a couple of Wieniawski Hujis, and the Pablo de Sarasate's Zigeunerweisen. Yeah. See, now we're getting into the stereo era here. Ataulfo Argenta doing the Tchaikovsky Violin Concerto with Campoli and the London Symphony. And then we've got Swan Lake, two little sniglets, the dance of the little swanlets. Oh, I love that piece. And the Pas des Deux. So there that is, with William Demont, cello solo in the dance of the swan thingies. That's with Fistulari in the London Symphony. And, more Bruch. Yes, and Mendelssohn Violin Concerto and the Bruch Scottish Fantasia. It's another terrific disc with Adrian Bolt and the London Phil. Yummy. What's this? More encore thingies. Albani's Bazzini, Brahms, Yamada. Well, that's interesting. Red Dragonfly, arranged by Campoli himself. Schubert, Paganini, and Mozart. The Rondo in G major from the Hofner Serenade. Oh, yeah, of course. These are all for violin and piano in various ways. Then we've got Sarasate, 8 Spanish dances, and Navarra for 2 violins with Campoli and Belinda Bunt, also the violin in Navarra, and Daphne Ibot, piano. We have Decca, and last but not least, Wieniawski, virtuoso pieces for violin. This was on L'Oiseau Lyre. Look at that. It has a little tiny L'Oiseau Lyre. There it is. Look, it's the L'Oiseau Lyre thing. Right? You know what that is? Yeah, seems to be. There we go. From 1980. Whoa, baby. 1980. Amazing. Again, with Daphne Ibot. So he was active for quite a while, actually. I am much more tolerant of the usual violin sniglet recital thing with this guy than I tend to be with other more serious violinists, because I just think he had the style, and he had that sort of joie de vivre, and you can listen to him. I mean, his tone was so ingratiating. It really was. So this is a wonderful box for violin fanciers, and really, Australian Eloquence is doing some wonderful work, because this guy has quite a substantial legacy. 21 CDs on Decca alone. He did some things for other labels. Is a lot of music, a lot of recordings. He was very active. He was a major figure in the violin of the 20th century, and he's one who was really largely forgotten and ignored, and he doesn't deserve to be. So yes, you should get your Campoli. Right, Mildred? Yeah, see, her ear twitched. There we go. Yes, of course. She's absolutely thrilled at the very prospect. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me, and take care.